final aspect of this module is external audit. Look, we're not going to do a lot on audit. You could do probably almost an entire year of an academic course on audit if you're in accounting, etc. But I think audit is such an important topic, we need to be familiar with it. So this is about familiarity and it's kind of tangential to any assessment we might have. But it is an important aspect of governance that we need to be aware of. So a couple of things to think about. Okay, the first thing that often gets misunderstood is that the auditor is really actually working for the shareholders. I mean, I know that they're appointed by the board and that they work with management. That's practically how it's got to work, right? But they're really working for the shareholders. What they are is a monitoring device. So under classic agency theory, they're a monitoring cost. What you need is someone from outside the firm who's going to go in and check the records and attest that what is being recorded is accurate and in compliance with accounting standards. That's what they're doing. It's an assurance process that the figures are what the figures are. It's not about saying, is this a good quality outcome? Right? It's not about that. It's about saying, are the figures that are being reported to you shareholders accurate figures? Are they fair and in accordance with the principles of accounting? And that's what we can see here. It's part of the monitoring process. It's about keeping the capital markets informed, particularly and traditionally the shareholders, right? As markets have become more important, it's also about other market participants, but typically the shareholders. It's not about prejudging future outcomes, whether the company's going to do well into the future or not. It is about the credibility of the financial reports, right? It is about, are they accurate? That leads to the question of what's accurate. So the way accuracy is attested is that, are they in accordance with the accounting standards? So there's a little bit of a dispute that often occurs around financial figures, that something can be in accordance with the accounting standards but not reflect the true nature of the financial position. So I won't go into the detail of that. Your finance people can talk about that. Occasionally, it comes down to how we interpret the accounting standard, and does that interpretation reflect economic reality or not? But what the auditor is going in and doing is mainly assuring us that the figures that are prepared are in accordance with the accounting standards and that we can rely on them. So that means a lot of the time when we talk about auditors and a good auditor, we talk about two particular things. We talk about independence, right? So we don't want them to be able to subject to pressure from management to alter their position or to take management's point of view. They need to be able to take the shareholders' point of view and to provide that independent assessment of the figures. The second thing, of course, that they need is to be competent, to know the standards and to know where the little tricks might actually lie in how figures are recorded. And we've had a number of inquiries around the role of auditors in financial failures, and they most often keep coming back to these points. To have a good auditor, you need someone who's independent, you need someone who's competent. And there's a whole series of prescriptions, such as rotating your auditor every few years, to try and reinforce this independent and competent review of the books as a monitoring mechanism. And so that wraps us up around this concept of monitoring firm financial viability. What we're going to do in the next module is have a look at executive remuneration.